creating so much content, talking fun things, and live streaming on YouTube. People could go check it out on YouTube. But we're going to go right into Justin Bieber. What's going on there?
One of the tabloids came to me and asked me what my take was on him. What he was doing was showing himself, showing, not talking, showing himself, smoking marijuana in front of everybody, big bong, as though that's supposed to be attractive and whatever. And we know he's had problems. We know that the Diddy trial is going on now, and he and Diddy used to be this close, and yet he has come out finally with a lot of pushing, come out finally and said he was not amongst those who had been molested by Diddy. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's not true, but this is what he's saying publicly. But he's got a lot of problems. Since men don't share their feelings, since men don't go to anybody for help, and it's all throughout my book in Real Men Don't Go Woke. Since men don't ask for help, he's showing a picture of himself. He is a father now. He is 31 years old. He's a dad, and he has a little boy. What happens to that little child? Now, I know about Haley Bieber. I know her father, um, Stephen Baldwin. I know him from New York. We were in the same prayer group together. And he is a lovely man and he is pious and he raised his children to be quite pious. And when they started their marriage, Haley and Justin, they were very committed to God. And they had pictures going to church and taking care of themselves really well. And I thought, oh, hallelujah. He'll just do so much better with her as an anchor for him. Well, what has happened recently is that he said to her, and he left this message for her on Instagram that said, "You'll never make it on the cover of Vogue." Now, for a model, being on the cover is majorly important. To get a cover is majorly important. And to take her and tell her this denigrating thing when she's building her brand is probably one of the most destructive things a man can do to a woman in a relationship. And he did that unforgivable thing. And he obviously knew that this was a no-no. So what did he do? He started drastically editing his Instagram captions so that he didn't anymore seem as though he was trying to overshadow his wife. If you are in competition with the woman you allegedly love, then the marriage is over. You have nowhere to go with that. Either you work together as a partnership or you have to disintegrate the relationship, or the relationship will disintegrate on its own. So I'm disappointed where he's gone. I don't know if he gets help, if he'll be able to redeem himself. But she has said nothing. She ended up on the cover of Vogue after all, and she could thumb her nose at him, but she's now very connected to him with a baby. So I don't know how this is going to be handled. I'm watching this very clearly, very carefully, and it hurts me for this young father to be so disconnected from his wife and his baby. And I just pray for them. I just pray for them. And I know that I'm sure her family is praying a lot for them to make it somehow. Every single couple has issues. And it's how we manifest those issues and walk through those issues that determine the success of the relationship ultimately. So maybe this is a something for them to say, okay, look, we've had problems. Now it's time to recognize we have to get it together for the sake of the baby, if for no other reason.
Yeah, and that's the key. And so why do you think they're just falling apart so much? Do you think it's just the Hollywood thing? What did you see in your life, covering all this stuff? How certain people just fell apart in your history of relationships, especially celebrity relationships?
Well, there are a lot of enticements all around in Hollywood. And some of the enticements, and many of the enticements, are not positive ones. There's the drugs, there's the sex, there's everything that can pull a person down. Some Hollywood people say, we've gotten out of Hollywood. We're living in Idaho or in the mountains somewhere. Or, you hear this many times from people because they understand they don't want to raise their children amid that kind of negativity. But it really shows the strength of a human being to look at things in the face and say, you know what? I understand where this is coming from. And I understand what they think or what they're selling me that this will lead me towards. But ultimately, I have to make my decision. And my decision has to revolve around my good, strong sense of self. And that's where we are. You have to have a good, strong sense of self. The ability to say no is the most beautiful thing you can do for yourself.
Totally. And that no, to say no is so important to
And you know
do.
what?
And I think it's the Hollywood thing, and I think it's soon Hollywood again. When we talk about films, no one lives in Hollywood, but I guess at one point people were going to say we can live anywhere, and that might save them from getting in the limelight and the what brings being in the spotlight, making those bad decisions.
Look, everybody makes bad decisions because that's how you go through the dark tunnel and try to get through the other side into the light. But ultimately, when you do make a bad decision, instead of saying, "Oh, why did this happen to me?" My mantra, what I teach all my clients, is that say instead, "What can I learn from this?" And therein, in the learning, is your pathway to success.
All right. Well, this is interesting information. We'll see what's up with Justin, and what and how this newsworthiness keeps going. Appreciate it, Dr. Gilda. Thanks again.
My pleasure.
All right. That was you're listening and watching the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be